The consequences of stealing. The story you're about to hear is true, and it happened right here in Thailand. Regarding the story about fighting over husbands and wives, Aunt Somphak told me that 50 years ago, when she was a young girl of about 14 years old, she was born into a very poor family. They lived hand to mouth in hardship and deprivation. She couldn't find happiness like other people. She couldn't help but envy the rich, wondering why their lives were so different. Her poverty, her ambition, her lust for material things. She wanted this and that, like everyone else. No matter how she had to get them, she just wanted to have them. She would go into the grocery store and secretly grab whatever she could get her hands on, stealing everything she could. It had become a habit, a part of her nature. One day, she met an older man named Mr. Saen. Mr. Saen had 2 children, a wife and children, a warm and loving family. Mr. Saen was hardworking and had some money. He loved his wife and children very much. He was about 30 years old, and his wife was 27. Their children were 8 and 6 years old. Aunt Somphak wondered how she could improve her life. She was naive, lazy, and always wanted things, and she was also a master thief. So she decided, thinking like a thief, he saw Mr. Saen being kind enough to give him some snacks, as adults often do to children. But he secretly planned to find a way to get close to him, use his charm and deception, and then steal him from his wife for a night. Mr. Saen was staying overnight in his fields, guarding them for a week. Aunt Somphak, knowing this, found an excuse to leave home. She said she would go to a friend's house to help with their garden for a week. She pretended to go to Mr. Saen's farm and sobbed, claiming that her distant relative, her older brother, had ill intentions towards her. She was terrified and ran away. She sobbed and acted frightened, begging Mr. Saen to hide her there. Whether it was naivety or something else, Mr. Saen agreed, albeit with some lingering concerns. Once Aunt Somphak was at the farm with Mr. Saen, she began her plan, using various tactics to manipulate him. Sometimes, when she went to bathe, she would take her amulet. Mr. Saen, with his chest sticking out, went to bathe in the pond and pretended to drown. Mr. Saen fell for the trick and ran to help, touching each other in the middle of the night. She asked to sleep in the same mosquito net as Mr. Saen, making up many excuses according to her plan. In the end, Mr. Saen and Aunt Somphak had a sexual relationship as planned. Aunt Somphak sweet-talked Mr. Saen, doing everything to make him fall for her so she could have someone to rely on. After that, she went home and told her family that she had been assaulted and raped. Her family then told the village headman, and it became a big deal. Aunt Somphak then asked to be Mr. Saen's mistress, since things were already like this. Mr. Saen's wife was very upset and told Mr. Saen that she would take her child back to live with her parents and give Mr. Saen to Aunt Somphak. It seemed like everything was going according to plan. Aunt Somphak's younger sister was also affected. From being so poor that she barely had enough to eat, Aunt Somphak now had a comfortable life. Mr. Saen was very good to Aunt Somphak, and they even had a child together. Aunt Somphak seemed dissatisfied with what she had, becoming content with Mr. Saen. During that time, it was the Vietnam War with America. During that time, the American government sent most American soldiers fighting in the war live in Thailand during that time. These were known as GIs, General Warfare Assistants. The GIs were young and energetic, juggling both fighting and love. Eventually, the term rented wife emerged in this era, meaning that soldiers on assignment would bring in prostitutes to live with them as husband and wife. Many couples who truly loved each other packed up and returned to America. There was Aunt Somphak, who saw her older friend working as a rent-a-wife for a GI, wearing gold and silver jewelry, having money and gold and beautiful clothes. She wanted the same. So she asked a friend to connect her with a GI, saying she wanted to be a rent-a-wife too. It turned out that a GI became genuinely interested in her. She then started devising a new plan. She eloped, leaving her child with relatives, and then became a wife for the GI. She was very happy because he pampered her, gave her money, and she lived well with him. She thought that if she were his real wife, she would get everything she wanted. Then her plan began again. She got pregnant with his child, and she cried and sobbed. She sobbed, saying she was afraid her child wouldn't have a father. She couldn't speak English, so she begged a Thai person who could. She told them about her boyfriend, a man named Johnny. Johnny was a good man, and he did take Aunt Somphak as his wife. When it was time to return to America, he took her and their newborn child with him. Aunt Somphak came to America with Johnny, and they had another child. Aunt Somphak's life was very comfortable. She had money and gold, learned to drive, and started learning English. She had everything she wanted, as if it were magically created. Her husband was also very good. He loved his children and his wife very much, practically dedicating his life to them. Many years passed, and she said he still wanted to work, so he went to work in another state, New York. He had a multi-year contract and decided to buy a house there. Aunt Somphak noticed that lately her husband hadn't been coming home often, even on his days off. He seemed to stay there. She noticed several things that were unusual, so she secretly went to watch him from a distance. She saw her husband walking out of that house with a young woman, much younger than him, laughing. The whispering and gossiping already revealed what was what. She almost fainted on the spot. She went out to show who she was. Her husband, who used to be so good, now didn't care about her at all, as if she didn't even exist. She was heartbroken and devastated. She went on a rampage, destroying fish, rice, and other belongings, in a fit of rage against her husband. To make matters worse, her husband called the police, who arrested her. She spent a night in jail and had to call a Thai friend to bail her out. Driven by anger, she investigated her husband's mistress and discovered she was a Mexican woman living illegally, unemployed, penniless, and desperate. She used her beauty to lure him in, and her plan worked. Her husband was completely infatuated with his new wife, showering her with money, gold, and every comfort. In a desperate act of revenge, she overdosed on medication, hoping her husband would realize his mistake. But he never came. She didn't care at all. She did everything she could to get her husband back, everything imaginable, but to no avail. He and his new wife lived together openly. Aunt Somphak tried to think why it was like this. The old images of her being poor and desperate, desperately trying to snatch Mr. Saen from his wife, not caring if Mr. Saen's wife and children were heartbroken. All I know is that he wanted her so badly. Mr. Saen's wife was heartbroken and had to flee with her children. He realized that the karma he had created would always come back to haunt him, no matter how long it takes. What you sow, you reap. Aunt Somphak accepted the consequences of her actions. His new wife did exactly the same thing he did to Mr. Saen's wife. She flattered him, slandered his first wife, and tricked her out of her possessions. Everything he did to Mr. Saen's wife, his new wife did the same. Thank you for listening to Thai Local Tales. I'm Captain Piroj. Until our next journey together, take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.